my Trues Clues aficionados. I hope you are all doing well out there, staying safe, paying attention to your Trues Clues around you, and being ready to be little warriors. So if you see something, you'll say something. With that being said, I want to invite you to tonight's live panel. I do have Nancy Padilla on the line tonight in the panel, and she is a social worker, very esteemed. She's been on the show once before. And I also have Amanda Hunt. She's a very good friend of mine who has a lot of life experience. So I am welcoming the two of them tonight to the panel on homelessness in creation, or homelessness versus violence, or violence created by homelessness, something to that effect. But the impact of homelessness and violence that is going on right now. So with that, I will start the panel up. I hope that you guys will like and subscribe. If you're feeling kind of catty today, buy me a cup of coffee. The link is there on my YouTube channel. So with that being said, let's get into the live panel. Love you all. Take care. See you next Monday. How are you guys doing?
Good. Staying warm.
Good. Okay, well, I guess we are ready to start then. Nancy, are you on video?
No, because did you want me to? I don't know how to do it. I
tried your little camera there.
I tried to go on my iPad because I use Zoom for iPad. But my iPad updated. And so it updated and I lost Zoom. So I'm doing it on this little tiny phone.
Okay.
But I don't know how to take, because it doesn't have the little things where I could, turn the camera on or off, or the microphone. I don't know how to do it on this thing.
So I'm muting myself because I have a lot of background noise in my house.
Okay.
The team are upstairs getting dinner, so that's why I'm muted.
All right. Okay, well, are we ready to get started?
Yep.
Okay, so I thought we would talk tonight about the trend of homelessness and violence that is going on. A couple weeks ago, we had 3 incidences right within each other. We had the Michelle Goins case in New York, where the lady was thrown onto the tracks by a stranger. It's being taken as a hate crime by the Asian culture. And then there was an older woman, a nurse who was ready to retire, that was at the bus stop. And a man came and just beat her senseless, and she didn't make it through that. And then the third one is the college graduate who was working at the furniture store by herself and was accosted by a homeless man. And later they found her body.
Oh.
So yeah, pretty sad. So I wanted to ask you guys, there's a lot of homeless camps around. We have that one in Civic Center downtown, and crime was really escalating badly at that point in time. Besides that, it got us onto the list of like the 33rd dirtiest city in the United States because of all the trash and rats and everything that were there.
Yeah.
But it's not just downtown.
Right.
It's in,
I agree.
Neighborhoods now.
Yeah. Well, they got ran out of there.
Scary part.
And they're even up here, you know what I mean? It scared me a couple of times trying to go out there and, walk the dog. So I don't even walk without having something with
Trend
me.
actually has been living up 103 off the mountain, off grid. We ran that guy that we ran into.
Right.
He lives on the mountain.
How is it out in your area, Nancy?
Yeah, we're still, now that we have the light rail coming all the way down to 124th, they were trying to, because they get on the light rail and they come on out here now.
Right.
Stop it before it starts, I guess, at least over here.
Well, in San Francisco, they were saying you can't even walk, get off a bus and try to walk to your job without getting accosted by homeless people. Which brings me to my second question. Do you think that they're being more violent because they feel like the society owes them something? Here they are on the streets, and here these people are going to work and making money. And do you think they're just, senselessly like, well, you've got it and we don't, so we're just going to take it from you?
So
I don't think that at all. Yeah, and working with the homeless, when I was an investigator,
Mm-hmm.
And I would have to go find, I'd have to go to these homeless shelters to find a person or a landlord or, where they're supposed to be living. And I came in contact with a lot of them, and you do have a lot of them who this is the life they chose because of their choices. But then you have the people who are mentally unstable. And I think we all need to remember we're one paycheck away from being in that predicament too.
Absolutely. And I think it goes back to, Amanda, I don't know if you remember this or not, but the Reagan administration, he changed healthcare laws and everything because, people with mental illnesses were held in hospitals for a time. But then the laws changed and all those people who were being hospitalized were dumped on the streets.
Montel Williams did a documentary about one of those places.
What?
Absolutely.
But for me, I think I can see both sides of it. There are people that want to be there, and there are people that are mentally ill that don't comprehend it. And then there's the people that they lost a job and now are couch surfing or whatnot too as well. Like
Right.
there's 3 stages of it, not just 2.
Right.
And anybody could fall into it.
Well, Nancy, what do you think the homeless thing, like with the camps and just, couch surfing, you're at least in a home kind of area, but in a camp area, I feel like your children are just up to be taken advantage of by anybody out there.
Yeah, who's all out there, and they're filthy, they're nasty.
And when you drive by, you see a lot of violence.
Yeah,
when I would come into Denver, they had those ones on the side of the Aurora Highway 225. And you just drive by, my son would be driving, I'd be really looking out the window, checking him out. And there was always some kind of violence going on that you would see going on out there, because there's a certain lawlessness that comes with living in those areas. Yeah. I don't know how often they get policed.
Well, but then you had to figure when you're in a crowd like that, they get that mob mentality.
Absolutely. That's when I start worrying about the children and women too.
Oh. I know that so I live at approximately I-76 in Sheridan, and I know the ones that are down there are mostly young to middle-aged adults, and they're always on the corner begging for money. Like there's not a time that I haven't drove down there to not see a person there lately. My middle kid's dad is actually homeless and has mental issues. So it hits home for me not knowing, where he is or if he's alive or if he's safe. Just recently we've been getting mail for him. So I know he's using my address for at least medical coverage.
Well, but
cool. Past that, I haven't seen or heard from him in almost 2.5 years. Like I've saw him on the side of the road panhandling, but there's nothing that I can do anymore to help him get out of where he's at.
And how much panhandling money do you think goes to drugs?
Drugs or alcohol, one of the two.
Well, I think a little bit different. When we're living here, in a good side of town, and you've got a person on the corner trying to panhandle and beg for money, I don't give them money. I don't, because I'm with a company, a cult. I don't know where they're from. But if I go into Denver and I'm over by the homeless shelter and there's a man standing in the corner who's filthy dirty, he's homeless because of the way he looks, I will pass him a couple of dollars. What he does with it, it's not my business. I gave it to him. I'm hoping he'll get something or something with it. I can't control that, but I just won't pass him up. I just don't.
Well, you want to try to do what's Christian by people as well.
Yeah. And it goes to, are they really homeless? Because you got people standing on the corner who are driving brand new cars.
Well, when I worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield, I did see a guy that was panhandling as a job, and he was driving a Mercedes, and he would park it on the parking area at Blue Cross Blue Shield and then go stand there on Broadway and spear and collect money all day. And his hours were much shorter than mine.
Yeah. He's driving a Mercedes. So yeah.
But I do feel sorry for the people that are out there with mental illnesses that are really self-medicating. And then I do think that does create a lot of violence because those people are going to end up addicted, committing crimes to support their habits.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know Colorado has gotten like really, really expensive to live in as well. And I think I don't know that there's any easy answers to the homelessness. Like you said, a lot of people don't want to conform to society. They like being out there, kind of that thrill of living on the streets too, and having easier access to drugs or what have you. But a lot of people can't even afford to live here in Colorado anymore and finding themselves homeless.
I can tell you right now, I'm honestly thinking about moving south because it's cheaper than what the Denver metro area is. And the Denver metro area is where I was born and raised. Like, to see my neighborhood go from what it was growing up to what it is now, I don't want to raise my kids here anymore. It's not safe.
Well, I grew up in the ghetto, and the people that lived in the ghetto got pushed out with gentrification. I don't know where these people ended up at. Where do they end up at, Nancy, after they get pushed out of housing like that?
They in housing in different parts, but not so that they're all gathered together in one big project.
Right.
Now they're separated in this high-rise, low income, which is 5 miles from this high-rise, low income. So they're just splitting them up is what they're doing.
And do you think that makes it easier for them to commit crime on other people in the neighborhood now that you're, ingratiated with different influential backgrounds?
Yeah, I do. I think so. I agree. It's just like, even though we live up here and we live in a very nice neighborhood far away from the inner city, but yet we still have crime out here.
Right.
We still have, but probably not as much crime as you would have living close to a homeless camp. They're going to break in. Come on. They're hungry, or they need something to steal so they could go buy some drugs. It's just going to happen.
Right. Do you think we're turning into a country of those who have and those who have not?
I've always thought that.
I mean, I've never seen it so disparaging as now.
Yeah.
I don't know if the prior administration had a lot to do with it. But when we were growing up, it seemed like there was a true middle class. There doesn't seem to be a middle class anymore. You're either making it or you're not.
Yeah. Based on, I guess, because look at the kids nowadays, as opposed to the way we were brought up. We were brought up we got like what? A couple of outfits for school, maybe a couple of pairs of shoes. Now my grandson has so many shoes and they're all name brand. And I'm thinking, he's really spoiled.
Exactly.
They don't need that much stuff, or even the cost of things, how the cost of things are, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
And then you see like little Kim Kardashian's kids and Cardi B's kids getting Fendi and, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 purses for a birthday gift.
Yeah.
And then other kids, of course, have that expectation as well.
Yeah.
How do you think that the pandemic has affected all of this? Because, during the pandemic, they were letting people almost get away with shoplifting. There were a lot of crimes that they were not prosecuting at the time. And now people think they can go back to what they've already allowed to happen. And I don't think there's any going back on that.
No, I think the law is the law. And maybe at the time during the pandemic, we didn't know. We don't know what we don't know. We know people are dying because of this virus, but we don't know what's going to happen, further on down. And so they kind of let things go a little bit, not knowing, but now they have control over it, at least a little bit. It's a little bit controlled. And I think things are going to start changing. And if you're breaking the law, you're breaking the law.
For a little while there, it felt like we were living in a Mel Gibson movie, like a Mad Max thing going on, with people bashing and crashing. And I guess that I don't know where, this violence thing that people are inflicting on each other is really quite worrisome, though.
Why are they going, and they're really upset, you probably saw I posted it on Facebook, why are they going into stores and yelling at these young teenagers who really can't control anything? but they don't want
Exactly.
to wear a mask.
Mhm.
They're just can't. I saw it. She told him, ma'am, you need a mask. And she went off on him saying her and her husband both have medical exemptions. And I'm watching them. And I want to say something so bad, but I think I better not because, I don't want anybody record this with me in it.
Exactly. The Karen syndrome is out of control. You could even
It
be
is.
standing up for something that's right, and you're going to be ostracized for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I can tell you from a medical standpoint, I am one of the people that should not be wearing a mask, but I still wear a mask. I went almost 2 years without catching the virus, and I worked in facilities, senior living, as well as managed an adult day program. And to try and get people who don't understand that they need to wear a mask is completely asking like a toddler to do something that they don't want to do. I know that I have kids up the mountain who are like family to me, and they hate wearing masks down here because I make them wear a mask, because there's just so many people down here that I can't risk my autoimmune disorders to even walk into a store.
Yeah.
exactly. And it seems like in some kind of
I mean,
way,
if not,
violence and this mask thing have gotten wrapped up into each other. People just want to get
Yeah.
out there and do whatever they want to do, whether it means committing crime, hurting somebody else or not. There doesn't seem to be a real true caring of what's going on in society right now.
Right.
I know. Look at what they're doing on airplanes.
I know.
It's
Why would you beat
ridiculous.
up a waitress? I mean, a waitress. That's what I call them, air waitresses. But why would you beat up somebody who's just simply there to help you, to serve you?
Coffee, tea, or me? What the heck? What do you smack her for? It's insane.
I think what gets me is the people that are at the fast food places anymore. And when they get their orders wrong, they throw the drinks at the people working behind the counter. They want to slap them. They want to jump out over there and beat them up. These people are barely making minimum wage. What are you beating on them for? I don't get it. It's just like so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think the level in violence has become a little more acceptable. And now people are getting hurt more because of it. Like I said, with this Mad Max mentality.
Yeah. And I think when I was younger, I could say something to somebody who's acting crazy in the store. But now that I'm older, I just look at him and I walk away. I'm like, nah, I got to go hide over here in the corner a little bit and stay out of the way because, I don't know if they're going to turn on me.
Well, there was one time where, kids were brought up to be respectable of adults. And you could, like, what are you doing? And they would kind of cower or maybe curb their activities. They may go out and say something, but they really didn't challenge you in front of your face. But there's no kind of respect like that with youth now. So you just have to really be aware that youth that you may want to correct or may advise could come at you and hurt you.
Yeah.
Especially with gang mentality. I'm not saying everybody's in a gang, but watching a lot of gang movies, seeing a lot of, rappers living the life. I think they've gotten into that kind of violence.
Boy, life sure has changed, hasn't it?
It really has. Who would ever thought that? I don't know. It's like people are saying just living in Colorado now is so horrendously expensive. People that are retiring are moving to New Mexico because they don't want to have all of their retirement money used up here so quickly.
Oh my goodness, the rent alone, like you said you live off of Sheridan?
Yeah, Amanda's gone, but she does. She lives over there off of 72nd and Sheridan. And actually her kids walk to that school that Helen and I go to the rec center at.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just the rent there is very expensive.
Right.
But I know a girl who's living in a
so it tells me that
so I
we're
can tell
running
you how
out
much
of
my
time
rent
here.
is. My rent,
how big is your house?
So my house is technically a 3-bedroom, 2 baths with a partially finished basement. I do have 3 bedrooms downstairs. However, by codes and stuff, technically I'm not supposed to have anybody in the rooms because of the windows, because of how old the house is.
Oh, because they're too small.
But I pay this is the last month that I'll be paying $2,000, and next month it jumps to 2,500.
Wow.
Well, people
Yeah.
are complaining up here in Clear Creek County because it used to be cheap to rent a place up here. Now it costs as much as Denver.
I used to live up there. Like, I miss
Mhm.
being up there. Like, I miss the small town. Like,
Small
the
town
big
living
big
is
city
like
has
real
taken a
different
toll on
now.
me. Yeah.
So where do you think things are going to go from here, ladies?
You know, I totally get they need to do something with the homeless. But where are they going to go? Because they were going to make them a homeless camp over at Denargo Market, and they didn't want them. And then they're going to do it over here by here, and they didn't want them. And then they're wherever they're going to go, nobody wants them.
They even started
nope.
at the Coliseum and booted everybody out of the Coliseum.
See, it's like where are they going to go?
Hit.
What are you doing? You're taking a homeless camp in the middle of downtown, which has it shouldn't be there. I agree. And you're telling them no more. You need to get out of here. Where are they going to go?
Exactly. And I think that's what's really going to create more crime. That's what's going to make violence escalate here, because you got a bunch of homeless people that are walking around pissed off. We as humanity are not offering them any options.
Yeah. Well, what are they going to do?
Right. And so that's only going to get worse. And putting them in these little parking lot villages where you get a tent next to 50 other tents is putting you at such high risk that like you said, the group mentality is going to be such that there could be complete and total anarchy where they're just going out into the town and beating and robbing and pillaging at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. We all agree on that.
Yeah.
For sure.
No easy answers there. Well, I'm glad I had a chance to talk with you too, and that we were able to get this out. I'm sure that people are going to appreciate what we have to say.
Yeah,
yes,
let's see what they have to say.
We'll get together in another couple months, hey?
Okay.
Sounds
Talk to
All
you
right,
later.
guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Night.